Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Tricia. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. I guess we should say Stephen A. Guglich. Did I get that right?
Guglich, yep.
Guglich, yay! Yeah. Author Stephen A. Guglich is a clean fantasy author, and your series is the Veil Saga, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Fun, and you have two books out. Oh, no, one book out and one book coming out, correct?
Yeah, one book coming out this summer. Yeah, the sequel to the Piercing the Veil is coming out this summer.
Awesome. How exciting. So Piercing the Veil is the first book. Do you want to jump in and tell us characters, world, want to know everything?
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I heard my kid drop something. Sorry.
Okay. This is editable.
Oh, good. Yeah, sorry. I should have asked you that at the beginning. Yes, yeah. So I came up with the idea for Piercing the Veil many, many, many years ago. When as a teacher and as a student, even, when you take all these classes and you learn about history, and there's always some sort of magic associated with these ancient cultures, dragons and other enchanted creatures and all sorts of, things that just don't exist anymore. So I came up with the question, where did the magic go? And I decided to explore that, and I came up with the answer. As far as the book is concerned, is that at one time humans existed alongside elves and dwarves and other enchanted creatures, and eventually the elves decided that the humans were getting a little too big for their britches, and because they weren't listening, they were warring, they were starting to get a little out of hand. And their idea, they fought for a little bit, argued over a little bit as to what to do. The dwarves wanted to destroy the humans, and the elves came up with the idea they're going to eventually going to destroy themselves anyway. So what we'll do is we'll just hide ourselves behind a veil and let them kill themselves off. So 3,000 years later, now the story, that's where the story Piercing the Veil takes place. The veil is still intact, and they humans didn't kill themselves off as much as they thought they would. And,
Yet, right?
yeah. Yeah, so it's a modern fantasy. It takes place in our world and in our time, and it does have elements of historical fiction. I used a lot of I wanted to bring a realism to the story, so I did a lot of historical research, and so I have historical figures in the book, mythological figures in the book, and um, there's a little bit in there for everybody, and it kind of takes the point of view of two guys. So one is a fourth grade teacher living in New York who is suddenly caught up in the politics of the Veil. And on the other side of the world in Japan, a 20-year-old student is gets caught up, and somehow their worlds merge and I don't like to give away spoilers, so I don't say too much. Yeah, and eventually, they discover the existence of the veil and the magic behind it.
Neat. Well, yeah. So you're the perfect person to come on this podcast because it's finding the magic.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, that's such when I saw the title of the podcast, of course I had to watch it, because I've watched several episodes, and I love the concept of finding the magic, and that's kind of what I did with my own series. Yeah.
Fun. And is it a YA series or is it an adult series? I mean, both the main characters are adults. I guess that puts it in the adult world, but
yeah,
or adult realm. But then it is clean fiction, right?
It is. So I took the stance as what I wanted as an educator. I wanted to write clean fiction for my students, for my own children, and I wanted it to kind of rival what was out there. Game of Thrones. Definitely not good for kids or teenagers or anything like that. So I wanted something that I would feel comfortable with my teenager reading and that they would enjoy and that parents would enjoy it as well. So that's kind of why so I have all that magic in there that really appeals to kids and teens. And then I have the drama and the politics and in it as well that appeal to adults. And I certainly encourage teens and adults to read it together and enjoy the story together.
Fun. Yeah, I'm thinking like well, I know you said it's contemporary, so in our time, but I don't know if you've read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fae or Fairies.
No, I haven't heard of that one. I haven't.
It's
Not even.
a historical fantasy, so I think it's set in like either the late 1800s or early 1900s. I shouldn't. I'm not gonna. I read it, but I can't remember exactly. But basically, the premise is that there's Emily is the main character, and she's a professor of, I forget what they call them. Maybe they call themselves anthropologists, but they're basically studying magical beings. And she
Oh, cool.
goes all over the world and finds these places where the veil is thinner, basically, where you can access the world of the Fae. And in her encyclopedia, all magical beings are the Fae, but there might be different kinds of Fae. So elves, dwarves, all sprites, everything. So
That's cool.
it's interesting that, yeah, well, the veil is kind of a common theme maybe
It's
among
a
the
common trope.
magical
Yeah, yeah,
world, right?
yeah. And that was one of the other ideas that I wanted to. I wanted to take the known and make it a little bit more original. A lot of I had a critic read the book who said that I what I did really wonderfully was that I gave origin stories to the myths and legends that we grew up with. And that was sort of one of the other things that I wanted to do was that sense of realism, of these people that may or may not have existed and give them a reality and a story all of their own, and they're in there. And I wanted to take the historical aspect, because again, I wanted to ground it in realism. So I did a lot of research to try to figure out, okay, if elves did exist, and we have stories of elves. I read just about every book that was written on elves, not just as far as fiction, but stuff that was written to be, this stuff may or may not be true type stuff. Where people once thought of what elves were, and I took all those tropes and all those ideas, and then I asked myself, well, if those elves existed way back then in the 1800s, 1600s, 1200s, and way, way, way back, what would they have evolved into today? What would their societies be like? How would they, their politics, what would they be like in the modern world? And I had to do that for each of the different races in the book, and all based on what our notions were of these creatures, from history and mythology, and evolving it into the modern world.
Yeah, I can tell you're just like me, and most fantasy lovers, like we want to geek out about the origin stories.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's it. The world building took me for years before I actually even got the story going. I did all this world building that had to do with research, but it was really fascinating. I was surprised at how, the people back in the old days, they really believed that these things existed. I mean, one of the things that most fascinating thing that I think I discovered when I was researching the origin of gnomes. So there was this guy back in the Renaissance era who was a scientist basically, and he is actually considered the father of pharmacology, and he also liked to study the supernatural. And he claims that gnomes existed, that he met gnomes, that he, the whole concept of where we got the fact that gnomes can pass through walls and are earth magic. came from this guy, and he said that he discovered them in a cave, and when he was on one of his journeys, and he called them Nim at the time, and then the word Nim evolved into gnomes. But my theory is, since he was the father of pharmacology, I think he was probably sniffing some of the stuff he was
I was gonna say
studying.
he got into one too many mushrooms
I
there.
That's what I was thinking too. But hey, he claimed he wrote more about the fantasy world that he believed in than he did on pharmacology. But he was well respected.
Neat.
So yeah.
Well, behind you, I'm seeing your backdrop. Is that just a backdrop, or is that some of your art for your book?
Yeah, that's the art for book two. That's from Shattering the Veil. So that's kind of like and not the cover, but just the what I call teaser art.
Right,
I
neat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said it's contemporary, but once they pass into the veil, is it more of a medieval feel then? I mean, I see sabers and rods and those types of things.
Yeah, in this particular picture, yeah, they are the people that are in this picture. They have a more of a fantasy sort of uh, wardrobe and technology. Although there are some guns in there, you can't really see them in the picture, but there are some of the dwarves use weapons or firearms as well. And then Jeremy, the main character, that's this guy right. This guy right here. Yeah.
In the red?
Yeah, in the red. Yeah,
Okay.
he's the main character from book one, and this is after, he pierces the veil. So this again without giving away any spoilers.
Well, I don't think it would be much of a fantasy book if you never got to the fantasy world.
That's
So
right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
we'd still be wondering if it even existed or if it's just in Jeremy's head,
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
just like the mushroom pharmacologist guy.
Probably, yeah.
So piercing the veil, shattering the veil is next. And does it follow the same main character?
Yes. Yep. The big difference between the two books is in the first book, it's kind of all about experiencing the wonder and the discovery of what's behind the veil. Book two kind of takes it to the next level and almost takes it on a global, gives it a global feel. I had one of my beta readers, actually several after he said it. He said that this is like Tom Clancy had written a fantasy novel because it has to do with a lot of clandestine stuff and spy stuff and whatnot. So I thought that was a pretty neat comparison. I'd love
Can
to
you
see.
tell us anything about the storyline of the plot for the new Mimi? You said it's like heavy political, maybe drama there. Are the humans fighting the
Well,
dwarves and the elves, or
well, after yeah, I guess the spoiler would be what happens at the end of book one and then into book two. There's a big event that happens at the end of the first book, which leads into the second book and brings it into more of a global event. So I have an agency that again I base a lot of what I do is on reality. So we have an agency in the U.S. government that most people don't know about. It's called AARO, AARO, and I forget what it stands for, but basically what they do. It's kind of like a real life X Files. They research and investigate supposed sightings and whatnot. So I brought them into the storyline, and used as much of their from the Arrow website, and try to make that as realistic as possible. So that's kind of a spoiler, but not too big of a spoiler.
yeah, I haven't heard of them. So maybe aliens and anomalies research organization.
Yeah, I forget what it stands for something very strange, and I can't remember. All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
I
Leave it to
wasn't
the
that far.
yeah.
Anomaly resolution office.
Yeah, leave it to the U.S. government to make it difficult, But yeah, that's uh, a, a real division of the Department of Homeland Security.
Well, maybe they're not running right now.
They may not be, yeah.
Yeah, we will go down that road.
You're right. Uh,
Well, fun. And do you know where the series is going next? Do you have the whole thing planned out, or do you
yeah,
just kind of
I yeah,
as you go?
I have several. I so the first series is a trilogy, and then I have an idea for a next series, but there's going to be a bridge book between the two series that will that will bridge the first series with the second one. So, yeah, I know where book three is going, and I know where it's going to end, and then I have other stories. Like I have a novella I'm writing that takes place in the world that's kind of a side story, and then after the events of book three, then we'll have the bridge book, which takes place many years later, and then it'll lead to the next series after that. So
Lots of fun stuff to come. So, is it written through third person or first person?
yes, I'm a big fan of third person. I have difficulty with first person, only because for me, from a writing standpoint, I think it's too limiting, I guess, even though third person limited is limited, but first person I think it's too easy to use I over again and over and over again, and then you have to try to come up with other dialogue tags in order to try to make it not so redundant. And so I enjoy third person. I enjoy reading third person. I enjoy writing in third person. So yeah, so it's all third person limited.
Right.
Multiple
Well, I think when you
methods.
get in such a big world and you have so many different groups, that the kind of
Yeah.
you kind of need to be in that realm, right?
Yeah, well, that's one of the hallmarks of epic fantasy. So that's why it's a contemporary epic fantasy, because it does have multiple POVs and you know world spanning events and all that stuff. Yeah.
Fun. And you said you're a teacher, right?
I'm a principal. I used to be a teacher. Yes, yeah,
Principal.
yeah.
Was English your what you taught, or was it something else?
I well, I taught elementary for a little bit. I started out in I did fourth grade, then I moved to sixth grade science. I taught science and media arts in middle school for a while. Then I did teach middle school English and science in a private school for a while. I always liked English, but I I don't know why I gravitated more towards science. I think maybe it was the first thing that was available when I was applying, and I thought, hey, I could teach science or English as long as it wasn't math. I was fine. I didn't want to be a math teacher. So, yeah, so I taught science for a long time. I taught English for a long time and media arts as well.
And just yeah, I was wondering if you had a degree in literature or creative literature, or just
No,
became a writer because you loved it.
no, I my first degree is in television and film production. And then I thought I was gonna, that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to make Disney type movies, or work for Disney or something like that. And that didn't work out. And then I had some friends convince me to go into teaching, and I did that for a while. And then I had some other friends convince me to be a principal, and that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
Fine. Yeah, I was almost a teacher for like 5 minutes. I went on one interview, and the principal, I was like 24 at the time, right? The principal asked me if I could be the cheerleading captain. And I thought, in my head, I'm thinking, do you see cheerleader on my resume? No, you do not see cheerleader on my resume. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
But
well, we're always looking to see how we can how much we can squeeze out of a person.
yeah, the cheerleaders wouldn't have been very good under my tutelage.
Yeah. And when you're trying to fill multiple positions, you just see if you can squeeze them all into one. That's why
Yeah, I totally got it. It was just
yeah.
very funny to think of myself as a cheerleader.
So you weren't a cheerleader in high school,
No, I was in the band. I was the opposite of the cheerleaders.
huh? Gotcha.
So fun. Well, tell us the date for release of Shattered Veil.
So Shattering the Veil will hopefully be out in late June or early July. Uh, all depends on when I get it back from my editor. So, and then I hope to be able to get the audio book out a few months after that.
Oh, good. Make sure and message me when it comes out because I love audiobooks. Is the first
Oh,
one on audio as well?
yes, yes. And
Okay.
I went all out. I was a little crazy. I hired one of the best audiobook narrators in the business, Sean Pratt. And I actually didn't know he was that good, which is funny because I had an idea. I wanted Michael Kramer to begin with. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's another famous book audiobook narrator, but I his voice was a little too growly for Jeremy Goodson. Jeremy is this mild-mannered, Clark Kent kind of guy, and a growly voice. And even though I'm sure he could have done it, but I wanted those main chapters to be told through his voice. And so I started just listening to other audiobooks that were out there, and I came across Sean Pratt, and it's like, oh, he can do so many voices. He's really good. And so I went out on a limb. I contacted him and asked if he'd be interested, and he told me, well, I only do so many uh, fiction books a year. I mainly do nonfiction, but I do about 10 a year. But if you want to send me the manuscript, and if I like it, I'll do it. And he he got a copy of the manuscript, and he loved it. He couldn't wait to do it. He's another geek like me, so that's what he liked about it. And then I come to find out that he's like this big time. He's got over 1,000 audiobooks that he's done. He's got a school that he teaches audiobook narrators.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's won like awards. I mean, he even got nominated for the best fantasy narration for Pierce and the Veil. Uh,
Wow. That
yeah,
is amazing.
yeah. I was surprised. Yeah, we were shocked. It was so cool. Yeah, we didn't actually get the award, but he actually got the nomination. Yeah. So if you like good narration and fantasy, Pierce and the Veil is he does a phenomenal job.
Well, I'm downloading that one today, so I'm sold.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those like meant to be things. So
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It is because he's so much fun to work with too. Like when he was recording the book, he would send me these little snippets of things. Like, oh, I'm on this scene, I'm on that scene, and get ready to call Netflix because we're ready to put this on screen and that fun stuff like that. So
fun, yeah. All my audiobook narrators ended up being amazing too. So I'm a big audiobook fan. Well,
yeah.
tell everyone where we can go to buy your books.
So my books are available pretty much anywhere, and if they're not in the store, you can just ask them to order it, and they can pretty much order it. They know how to order it through Ingram. You can get them in my TikTok shop. You can get them from my website. You can get them off of Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Thanks. What is your website so we can go there quickly?
So I made it a little easier. Instead of I have it's stephenguglich.com, but you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to spell Guglich. It also will link from theveilsaga.com.
Okay, great. The veilsaga.com. We will have the links in the description as well. And I think I was seeing you have a blog that's pretty active too.
Yeah, I like to blog every now and then. I'm not as consistent as I used to be, but I like to talk about my world building or why I write the way I write or what I write in my blogs. And if anybody's interested in that, it's there.
Yeah, I saw some character history on the elves and things, so I didn't
Yeah.
go too far down because I could read it for like an hour probably.
Yeah, I put a lot on there, little teasers as I was writing like I said, I did so much world building. I just started releasing that first as blog posts years ago.
I know I had to do a lot of research to come up with all these different fantasy characters from one of my book, and so I was like, "Well, I'm doing all this research. I might as well like send it to my readers because I'm sure they're just as geeky about this stuff as I am." So,
Exactly, exactly.
right. Well, fun. Thank you, Stephen, for being here, and I hope you'll come back when you release your next book.
I would love to. Thank you so much. This was
Thank
fun.
you. Bye.